Thank you for taking interest in my story today. You know, I'm one of the first special needs parents in the world, the entire world, to write and publish a book about our real life story. It all began in June of 2002 when my son Colton was born. We had been through so much in 17 years that I got the idea I was going to write a book. My name is Roger Dean Hines II, and I'm CP Dad. I'm 40 years old, and my roots are in Casstown in Troy, Ohio, a tiny village and small city in rural southwest Ohio, about an hour west of Columbus. I haven't accomplished anything really great in my life. The best thing I've done, at least on paper, is graduate from high school and become a star football player on Friday nights. I also thrive on being the best special needs parent I can. I wrote this book because I live an ordinary and yet unique life as the father of a son with cerebral palsy, CP. I didn't come from a wealthy family. My dad and mom worked hard my entire life to support my brother and I. My parents divorced when I was 14 years old. I wasn't the best student in school. I did what I had to just to get by most of the time. It's not that I didn't like school or that the school system failed me. I think I've just always been an entrepreneur, and I preferred to teach myself things instead of learning things in a classroom. That's part of the reason I'm writing this book. I want to share some of the obstacles we have faced, to use my family's story to educate, influence, and inspire other special needs families like us. I want to guide others in similar situations and show the way we do things with our son and the ways we have been successful in caring for him. I have a beautiful family of 5, and I love my life. Even though it's hard, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And when I'm gone, I want to leave something behind for people to love. Today, I would like to personally share and read a few chapters of my book, CP Dad, to you as a gift from me. I'd like to begin with the acknowledgments. With deep appreciation, I'd like to thank all the wonderful nurses and doctors who saved my son's life. Thanks also to the true caregivers and parents who dedicate their lives to children with special needs. I'd also like to give a special thank you to Dayton Children's Medical Center and their therapy facilities, to the staff at Riverside of Miami County, and to the administration and staff of Troy City Schools and Boston Children's Hospital. Praiseworthy reviews. Steve Nolan. This book is a testament to a father and mother's courage and undaunted love for their child. Roger, you have written a heart-rending account that will not only enlighten those who need to preserve, but also those of us who do not count our blessings with regularity. You have shown that self-sacrifice for your child can be the most poignant reminder to never take our precious lives for granted, that all life is precious, and that joy can be found in caring enough for someone else's happiness. James McDowell. Let me start off by saying I'm a non-reader and I wasn't sure how well I would do on this review. But once I started reading this, I read it till the end and could not stop. I coached Roger years ago, and he was one of the best football players I've ever coached. And I knew he had a lot of heart and desire, but I had no idea how much heart. I had no idea what a committed human being and dad he was. I actually had him do some work on my house, and I was still unaware of all the things going on in his life. There were times that I had to stop reading because of all the emotion that I was experiencing. Often wonder how much people can do when faced with certain situations. Most of us will never experience the tough situations that he and his amazing family have to endure. This was truly enlightening, and I'm very fortunate that I was considered to be part of this journey of Roger's life. Truly an amazing book, and I hope that everyone has a chance to read and enjoy the gift that Roger and his entire family have. They are incredible. They're definitely role models for the rest of us. Introduction, Lost Words. It's been 17 years and my son Colton has never spoken one word to me. All I've ever wanted to hear him say is, "Daddy, and I love you." I surround him with conversation every day, desperately waiting for him to speak or even babble words back to me. His mother, Angie, is always playing music in the house and singing to him. Colton loves music, and I can see they both love every second of listening to the song together. I vocalize my strengths into my son. Sometimes I whisper things in his ear like, "I love you. You're daddy's boy, and I'm so proud of you." I wonder if he really understands me or if he is able to absorb and remember my words. We have our own way of communicating, mostly through facial expressions, emotions, and other nonverbal communication I like to call Colton's way. Our normal isn't like other families' normal, but I think my son understands me. Even if he doesn't verbally answer me when I communicate with him, he gets a great big amazing smile on his face, and he will look at me, his mom, brothers, teachers, friends, and family. When their names are called or during conversation, he makes eye contact and just stares at us, smiling and listening to everything we say. If Colton could talk like the rest of us, if we could just find a way to get the words out, I know he would have a lot to say. It would change his life and ours if we were able to really talk or communicate with him in real conversation. Chapter 1, Limitations. The many challenges and worries of living with CP. My son can't talk, he can't walk or feed himself. He can't take himself to the restroom. He still wears diapers at the age of 17. Colton is fully dependent on me for daily living needs and activities. Bathing, diaper changes every 2.5, 3 hours, appointments, mobility, and transportation to and from school daily. I have to prepare and make sure he receives proper daily nutrition, fluids, and medications through his G-tube, a plastic tube that's inserted into his belly to provide nutrition directly to his stomach. My son is on a parade diet, meaning he can't chew food and gets all nutrition through his G-tube, which I prepare fresh for him every 24 hours. Because Colton can't talk, he's on a set feeding schedule of 4 bolus feeds a day, inserted into his G-tube with a syringe, and water between feeds, which I've memorized over the years. His weight, size, and health are great, and I'm so proud of that and of him. Colton will never run down the football field on a Friday night like I did, or even be able to pass a football with me in the backyard. I've accepted that. He loves watching people, and he vocalized most of his emotions by smiling and laughing. I love to hear him laugh, and if that makes a big guy like me have to run around the house talking in funny voices or answering a fake phone call and blowing bubbles, I'll do it. I do whatever I can to entertain my special needs son wherever we go, and I don't care what other people think of me or if they stare at us, because it's all for him. Some people stare at Colton and our family when we're in public. I like to think it's just because we're a good-looking group of guys. Some people say hello to him, which is great. Colton is a friendly young man who enjoys interacting with others. He often waits for someone to say hi to him and then smiles at them in return. His brothers enjoy playing video games, and he loves watching. Sometimes I will push his wheelchair right up by his brother so he's in the middle of all the action. Because Colton can't hold a game controller on his own, the boys will sit one on his lap. He'll just smile and laugh, trying to get the buttons as if he's playing the game too. It's heartwarming and heartbreaking to me as a father to see the love that Colton and his brothers have for each other. Even though he can't yell their names and wrestle with them or even hug them and do all the other things brothers get to do with each other. There are so many limitations on what my son can do with CP disabilities, physically and mentally, and it doesn't feel fair. But we all can feel his love in the room. Sometimes my days are overwhelming and exhausting, but I push myself to be strong. I never want Colton to feel left out, and I always keep him in the middle of everything we do. His mom doesn't cook, so it's my job to prepare and cook meals for our family. I can tell that Colton loves being in the kitchen with me when I'm cooking dinner. I wonder if he can smell all the good food cooking and what he's thinking, wishing he could tell me. Angie and I give him a little taste of everything we eat on the tip of our fingers. It just doesn't feel right to eat in front of him without trying to share. The fact that Colton can't talk to me sometimes makes me afraid and sometimes anxious. If he were ever injured, he wouldn't be able to tell me what happened and when or who hurt him. He can't tell me when he isn't feeling well or when he's in pain. All I can use to tell how he is feeling is his big, beautiful smile, the sound of his laughter, or the sight of his tears. Though some people might say I'm being too anxious, I don't let him sleep alone in his bed. If a blanket or pillow were to fall over his head, he might not be able to breathe. Because he couldn't move it, he might suffocate. I could never live with that. Colton also could roll off of his bed or have a bad dream. He can't yell for help or even push a button to alert me in another room. So I stay with him. I'm a very protective father. Colton can't protect himself, so it's my duty to watch over him. This isn't easy. There's grief, and I've made sacrifices. A big one is not sleeping with his mother at night by choice. I know this hurts her sometimes and makes her feel more like a roommate instead of a partner, and I'm sorry for that. But to me, this is what unconditional love is. Affection without any limitations or conditions. Angie and our 3 boys mean the world to me, but Colton will always have to come first. I made that choice years ago. It's the only way things will work. I've lost contact with old friends and family, lost jobs, even given up coaching positions at my alma mater. Sometimes I feel like I lose time with my other 2 boys because I have to focus on Colton so much. I have sold my valuables and items I loved just to pay bills and buy groceries to get us by through hard times. Chapter 2 is Daily Routine, the everyday workout of CP Dad. Being a special needs parent, or in my case, CP Dad, isn't easy. My mornings and days don't start out the way other families' days do. It takes a great deal of patience. Everything is a process. Most mornings it's just Colton and I. We wake up at 6:45 a.m. and the first thing I do is turn on the lights, pull off his covers, and say, "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" He always smiles, sometimes even with his eyes still closed as he's stretching out. This is my chance to quickly take a restroom break and hit start on the Keurig. I leave him lying in his bed for about 5 minutes, just long enough for me to run in and out of the room and bathroom, getting everything ready he needs and laid out. After 2 big gulps of coffee, I carry Colton into the bathroom, take his pajamas off, and lift him up into the shower chair, safely strapping him in. After I bathe him, I lift him up again and carry him out to dry off. Then I dress him for the school day. By now I'm already sweating and need a shower myself. I lift Colton up again. He's 106 pounds of dead weight. And I sit him in his wheelchair. He's safely buckled and strapped in with his teeth brushed by 8 a.m. Then we roll out to the kitchen for breakfast. The morning G-tube feeding. He smiles at me while he watches me prepare his food and pull up his morning medications. While feeding Colton, I often have to suction out his mouth. He has thick saliva in the morning and sometimes a little bit of leftover toothpaste. His mom helps to bathe him on her days off, if she's not too tired or doesn't need a day to sleep in. We call ourselves Team Hines. Angie is an amazing nurse and works hard at her job, often putting in 3 12-hour shifts in a row and every other weekend. And now that Colton is the same size as his mom, it's physically impossible for her to lift him. I remember one Saturday late morning, I ran to the grocery store, and when I returned home, Angie was sitting on the therapy room floor with Colton bawling. She had gotten him out of his wheelchair to give him a shower, but wasn't able to lift him up into the shower chair. This really upset her, not being able to bathe her baby boy anymore without help. So most of the time now, I don't even bother to wake her up in the mornings to help with Colton, letting her rest instead. Every day I prepare his school lunch and afternoon medications for the school nurse to feed him and administer. I pack his book bag with things needed for the school day, and depending on the weather, get his coat and hat on. Then I drive him to school. We have a large van with a nice ramp, so transportation is fairly easy, just time consuming and involving some physical work. Sometimes I have to make 3 or 4 trips to the school in one day. Once we arrive, I push Colton in his wheelchair to the front office and sign him in. Then I meet his teacher or aide halfway down the hall. Sometimes I help out by pushing him down to his classroom locker in the mornings, by taking his coat and hat off, making sure he's safe and properly strapped and buckled into his wheelchair. I always say, "See you later, buddy," or "turkey," before passing him off to his teacher for the day. Now I can start my day, and I try to use my time wisely. I have to be back at the school to pick up Colton by 2 p.m., no matter what I am working on 5 days a week. Occasionally on Angie's days off, if I'm not working on a project for extra income, I will come back home, dropping Colton off at school in the morning, and cook us up a good breakfast and spend time with her. We enjoy this time together, even if we're just lying around watching movies or cleaning house, running errands, or grocery shopping. This is our only alone time without any of the boys home while they're in school. Colton seems to enjoy school and seeing all of his friends. Even though he can't speak to them, he has his own way of socializing by getting excited and smiling. His smile is worth 1,000,000 words. My son has been a student in Troy City schools for 10 years now, with only 2 more years to go before his senior graduation. When Colton started his first year of school, I was terrified and afraid of him getting injured. Could they care for him and protect him like I did? The idea of having him in school gave me severe separation anxiety. Sometimes I was called to school just to check on him. Over the next 10 years, as time has passed, I have come to appreciate how good the school and staff has been to my son and our family. It may now take 3 staff aides and a Hoyer lift to do a diaper change at school compared to my one-man job at home, but they do whatever it takes in the safest way possible to give our son the proper care he needs. Their careful treatment of my son has made Angie and I feel more comfortable letting him go to public school. As CP Dad, my worrying never goes away, but it has eased over time. Colton is a sophomore now, going into his junior year, and we are proud of his education he's receiving. He is learning and enjoys being at school. He may be way behind or slower than everyone else, but he's making progress. Angie is always telling Colton and his brothers that school is cool. They know that education is important. Most days are good, and Colton comes out of school with a smile, happy to see me at the end of the day for pickup. People often tell me Colton is lucky to have you and say that he's lucky to have 2 great parents. We appreciate hearing that, but honestly, it's us who are lucky to have him. Chapter 3, Colton's Birth. No warning signs, a mother's instinct that something's wrong. I'm going to stop right there for today. And I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to me read the story. I've really enjoyed doing this today. And if you want to continue reading CP Dad, it's available on barnesandnoble.com, or you can get it on Amazon. Just simply go there, check it out, click on the link, and take a peek at CP Dad and what the past 17 years of my life really have been like as a special needs parent.